They told you money is the root of all evil. They told you wanting more was selfish. They told you to work harder, wait longer, be grateful for scraps, and someday maybe you'd be rewarded. I'm here to burn that lie to the ground. The truth is this: money does not respond to hard work alone. It responds to belief, to clarity, to a man who knows exactly who he is and refuses to apologize for it. Once you understand this secret, money will no longer run from you. It will follow you, hunt you, obey you. You think money comes from the outside? You think you have to beg for it, grind for it, fight for a sliver of it? That's how they programmed you. But listen closely. Money is a servant, and it is summoned by the voice of certainty. Not noise, not need, certainty. I've sat with kings and beggars. I've studied the rich and the broken, and I can tell you without hesitation, wealth is not about luck or timing or circumstance. It is about identity. It is about energy. It is about how you show up in a world that mirrors your inner state. The weak chase money. The powerful attract it. And those who master themselves, who walk in faith, who speak in conviction, who embody wealth before the world sees it, they never worry about where the next dollar is coming from, because money has no choice but to follow them. This is not motivational fluff. This is not some positive thinking gimmick. This is law. The same way gravity pulls you down, belief pulls results toward you. When your belief becomes unshakable, your results become inevitable. That's the secret no one wants to say out loud. Not because it isn't true, but because it shifts the power. It places the responsibility on you. It tells you that if you're broke, if you're struggling, if you're stuck, it's not about the world, it's about what you've allowed yourself to believe. So let me make this clear. Once you know the secret, money can't stop chasing you. Not because you begged, not because you got lucky, but because you became magnetic. Because you walked into every room like a man who already had it, and the world adjusted. You don't need more hours, you don't need more approval. You need one thing: the decision to believe that you were meant to lead, meant to build, meant to rise. And from that decision, every dollar, every door, every destiny begins to move in your direction. Now, are you ready to own it? I spent decades hunting this truth, not in theory, but in the minds of men who had everything. And what I found was this: wealth never begins in the hands. It begins in the mind. If the mind is poor, the money will vanish. But if the mind is rich, fiercely, vividly, relentlessly rich, then the world has no choice but to reflect it. You may not believe that yet, but belief isn't something you wait for. It's something you build. You don't need proof. You don't need reassurance. You need decision. Wealth responds to the man who has made up his mind, who has burned the bridges, silenced the noise, and said to himself, "There is no version of my life where I remain small." What are you waiting for? Another sign? Another strategy? Another round of applause before you dare to claim the life you were born to live? I say this with love and with urgency. No one is coming. No one will crown you. No one will hand you the throne. You must take it by acting as if it's already yours, because the secret is not in the doing, it's in the becoming. Men fail not because they didn't try hard enough, but because they never became the man success required them to be. They changed their routines without changing their identity. They repeated affirmations while still carrying doubt in their gut. And the universe watched and matched that doubt, dollar for dollar. When I speak of money chasing you, I do not speak of fantasy. I speak of a law more precise than gravity. What you hold in your dominant thoughts, what you repeat in your emotional language, what you picture in the silence of your own mind, this is the mold. And reality, like liquid gold, pours itself into that mold. But the mold must be strong. It must be unshakable. It must be built not from hope, but from the steel of decision, from the fire of vision, from the refusal to be ordinary. Do you understand what I'm telling you? You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. And if you are still bowing to fear, still negotiating with mediocrity, still apologizing for wanting more, then the world will give you crumbs, because that's what you've told it you deserve. But the moment you walk differently, the moment you think differently, the moment your voice carries the tone of authority, of destiny, of command, the world begins to move. It doesn't ask questions, it obeys. There is a certain power that comes when a man decides to never retreat. I've seen it in the eyes of the truly wealthy, not inherited wealth, but created wealth, the kind forged in the furnace of repeated failures and still sharper vision. These men didn't wish for money, they magnetized it. They became the kind of mind that money is drawn to, not because they were desperate, but because they were certain. Certainty is the secret the world doesn't teach you. You're told to be humble, to be realistic, to be cautious. But money does not chase caution, it chases conviction. It follows boldness. It aligns itself with the man who walks into a room and knows exactly why he's there, exactly what he offers, and exactly what he intends to walk out with. And let me tell you something else. Money doesn't like to be begged. It doesn't respond to pleading. It doesn't obey a man who doubts himself even as he asks. Money respects clarity. It listens to command. It appears where there is structure, desire, vision, and action aligned like a laser, not scattered like a flickering candle in the wind. So I ask you again, who are you being today? Are you being the man who expects more, who walks with vision already fulfilled in his mind? Or are you still waiting for signs before you commit? Still hoping someone else will notice your worth before you embody it yourself? You can't fool the universe with surface-level effort. You can't chant a few affirmations and still carry shame in your belly. You must become the version of yourself who has already received the reward, and then live like it, speak like it, decide like it. Because wealth isn't earned, it's claimed. And the man who claims it is not the one with the most talent or the best strategy or the perfect timing. It's the one who stops acting like he's trying and starts acting like it's already done. This is not arrogance. This is alignment. You are aligning yourself with the outcome so strongly, so completely, that the world has no choice but to reflect it. You are telling life what to do, and it listens because your tone carries the resonance of a man who knows. Not a man who hopes, not a man who waits, a man who knows. Now listen closely, because this is where most fail. They hear the words, act as if, and think it's a performance, a show. They dress like wealth. They speak like confidence, but inside the doubt remains. The desperation bleeds through, and the universe knows. You cannot trick the mirror of life with costume and tone. The mirror reflects what you are, not what you pretend to be. The secret I'm giving you is not about faking anything. It's about aligning everything, your thoughts, your words, your decisions, your energy. They must tell the same story. The story of a man who knows where he's going, who knows he deserves to have, do, and become everything his vision holds. And until that story is unified inside of you, money stays away. Because money is sensitive. It's not just numbers, it's energy. It moves toward order, toward direction, toward certainty. When you are scattered, unsure, afraid, it notices. When you hesitate, it retreats. When you chase, it runs. But when you stand still in your knowing, when you hold the vibration of abundance already received, it finds you again and again. It can't help itself. Money wants to serve the man who's already built the temple in his mind. The one who has seen the wealth in his imagination so clearly, so consistently that it's no longer fantasy, it's just reality that hasn't caught up yet. This is the kind of man wealth respects. So build the temple. Every day, not with effort, with faith, with intention, with repetition. Visualize not just the money, but what it makes you become. Calm, certain, generous, powerful, free, and don't speak words of lack anymore. Don't say, I can't afford that, or I'm trying to make it work. Say, that's not aligned yet. Say, I'm creating something bigger. Speak like a man who is co-creating his life with the infinite, not reacting to it like a victim of circumstance. Because let me tell you, the man who acts like he's already wealthy isn't just playing games. He's commanding the unseen. He's writing blueprints into the mind of the universe, and the universe responds. Every single time, you must become the man who walks like his future already happened. You must breathe like it's already yours. You must sit down to your work like your destiny depends on it, because it does. Not because the work is hard, but because you are training your mind to follow a rhythm of certainty, a rhythm of inevitable success. The mind is not some distant observer, it is the architect. It is listening to everything. When you skip the routine, it registers doubt. When you delay the decision, it records hesitation. When you speak fear, it responds by tightening your world. But when you act with decisiveness, when you show up like it's already done, the mind unlocks doors. The subconscious mind is the gateway to all wealth, and the language it speaks is feeling, not logic, not timelines, not effort, feeling. So I ask you, how do you feel when you think of your vision? Do you feel lack? Do you feel desperate for it? Or do you feel calm, peaceful, powerful? Because in your world, it's already yours. That shift, that one invisible shift in your energy is everything. That's the real secret. Not chasing, not fighting, but becoming. And the man who becomes, he doesn't shout, he doesn't plead, he walks with quiet authority, he builds in silence, he prays with conviction, he executes without delay, and the world responds, not because he demanded it, but because he embodied it. Remember, energy precedes matter, belief precedes evidence, identity precedes results. If you want the money, don't study money. Study the man who has it. Not just his bank account, but his mind, his rituals, his standards, his boundaries, his ability to say no to anything beneath his future. Because money is drawn to structure. It respects a man who respects his time. It flows to a man who invests in his growth, who refuses to shrink his vision to fit the opinions of others. So I ask you now, are you building a life worthy of wealth? Or are you asking wealth to compensate for the life you haven't fully committed to? The man who understands this never begs again. He becomes. And in becoming, he receives. Money doesn't fall in love with need. It falls in love with clarity, with strength, with decisiveness. When you're attached to getting it, you repel it. But when you detach, not from desire, but from desperation, money feels safe around you. It begins to orbit your life. Let me say this plainly. The more you chase it, the more it runs. Why? Because in your chase, you are confessing that you do not yet have it. And your subconscious mind is always loyal, not to what you want, but to what you believe. So if you believe you're lacking, your world will reflect lack. If you believe you're behind, life will mirror delay. This is why the secret is not to hustle harder. The secret is to adjust the route, the identity. When you identify as someone who already lives in abundance, you begin to make decisions from abundance. You show up differently. You ask different questions. You stop tolerating the things that were once acceptable to the version of you that was still struggling. Detach from the illusion that money comes through force. It doesn't. It comes through frequency. And the highest frequency is truth, alignment. Are you aligned with the man you claim to be? Are your habits, your energy, your conversations, your thoughts, are they all harmonized with that vision? Because if they're not, no amount of effort will fix what identity must. Money is not seduced by your effort. It is seduced by your embodiment. Understand this. Money is just a mirror, a silent witness to how deeply you value yourself, a reflection of your boundaries, your inner standard, your willingness to act when no one claps, and your ability to carry peace in the storm. If you are always in turmoil over money, then money is not the problem. It's the symptom. You do not have a money issue. You have a misalignment between your identity and your actions. Once I understood this, I stopped begging the world to pay me. I stopped asking for permission. I stopped justifying my dreams. I started walking like they were already fulfilled. And that is when money changed direction. It stopped running from me. It started looking for me. The secret is not hidden in bank vaults or locked away in the minds of the elite. It's hidden in plain sight, buried beneath your habits, your thoughts, and your beliefs about who you are and what you're worthy of. You have been conditioned to chase money. But what if money was never meant to be chased? What if it was meant to be magnetized, drawn to the person you become, not the actions you perform? Listen to me carefully. The moment you understand this, everything changes. Money responds to identity, not effort. Wealth is not the result of action alone. It is the byproduct of who you've decided you are. When you become the type of person that money is drawn to, you stop running after it. It comes to you. Naturally, inevitably, repeatedly. This is not a game of hustle. It is a game of inner alignment. You don't need to do more. You need to become more. You don't need to beg the world to notice your value. You need to embody the kind of value the world cannot ignore. And this begins in the quiet recesses of your mind, where belief takes root and behavior is born. Look around you. The people who seem to attract money effortlessly, they are not always the smartest or the most qualified. But they carry a certainty, an inner congruence that shouts, "I am the source." That certainty is magnetic. It bends reality. It alters perception. It turns conversations into contracts and ideas into income. Not because of what they do, but because of who they are when they do it. And so I ask you, what version of yourself are you bringing to the world each day? Are you showing up as a person who lacks, or a person who radiates value so clearly the world can't help but respond with opportunities? When I say money will chase you, I am not speaking in metaphor. I am speaking in the language of the subconscious mind, where the roots of reality are planted. The subconscious doesn't respond to wishful thinking. It responds to repetition, to feeling, to certainty. It doesn't care what you say you want. It listens only to what you believe you deserve. And belief, true belief, is not silent. It is not hidden. It radiates from you. It shows in your tone, your posture, your expectations. You cannot fake it, but you can build it, brick by brick, with the thoughts you think, the words you speak, and the decisions you make when no one is watching. Most people live their lives trying to earn money to feel secure, to feel important, to feel free. They think money will grant them those feelings, but here's the secret. It's the other way around. Those feelings, security, importance, freedom, are the cause, not the effect. Feel them now without needing money first, and you change the signal you send to life itself. You become the person money is drawn to. That is the great reversal that only the truly wealthy understand. They do not wait for money to feel powerful. They feel powerful first, and money responds. The wealth flows to them because their identity, their inner world, is already calibrated to receive it. Think about it. If you see yourself as someone who always struggles, who barely gets by, who has to earn every penny with sweat and sacrifice, your actions will follow that identity. You'll unconsciously sabotage abundance. You'll overlook opportunity. You'll dismiss ideas that could change everything. Why? Because they don't align with who you think you are. But the moment you step into a new identity, the identity of someone who attracts, who creates, who is worthy, everything shifts. Your posture changes. Your energy sharpens. You stop tolerating lack. You begin speaking and moving with quiet authority. And that is what money responds to. It's not a fantasy. It's physics, frequency, vibration. When you think and feel as if you are already abundant, already trusted, already sought after, you become a magnet for everything you once had to chase. So let me ask you again, who are you deciding to be today? Because life doesn't respond to your goals. It responds to your identity. Once I learned that money follows identity, not effort alone, everything changed. I stopped begging life for crumbs. I stopped hustling from a place of fear. I began to behave as one who expects wealth, not out of arrogance, but alignment. Understand me, this is not about pretending. It's about aligning your internal thermostat. You don't fake wealth. You embody it. You step into the mind and emotions of the version of you who has already arrived. That version walks differently, speaks differently, chooses differently, and so must you. Most people live backwards. They wait for evidence before they believe. But belief is not a reaction. It is a creation. It is the fire that forges the evidence. Let me put it plainly. The secret is this: when you stop chasing money and instead chase your higher self, the money will chase you. Why? Because your higher self is never in lack. Your higher self is the architect of ideas, the author of bold decisions, the generator of value. That version of you doesn't seek permission. That version creates outcomes. When you live from that place, you stop asking, can I afford this? And start asking, how can I create the value to make this inevitable? You stop saying, I hope it works, and start declaring, I will align until it has no choice but to work. And suddenly, doors open, people pay attention, opportunities multiply. Not because the world has changed, but because you have. There is something magnetic about someone who walks into a room and knows their value. They don't need to prove. They don't need to persuade. They are the evidence. That is what money chases. So from this moment forward, your job is not to chase money. Your job is to become the kind of person who money can't ignore, the kind of person whose inner frequency pulls resources, support, and vision into their orbit. And if that sounds mystical, remember, every fortune ever made started with a thought, a belief, a decision, not a dollar. The question is not, how do I get rich? The question is, how do I become the version of me who is already wealthy in spirit, in conviction, in action? That's the secret. Once you get it, truly get it, you'll never chase again, because the moment you align, money can't help but chase you. Now, I want you to pause and feel this truth in your bones. You are not poor because the world made you that way. You are poor because your imagination has been starved. You are not stuck because you lack resources. You are stuck because you haven't yet become resourceful. Wealth doesn't start in your wallet. It starts in your self-concept. You must recondition your nervous system to believe that abundance is your birthright. Not a reward, not a lucky break, but a natural consequence of who you are becoming. When your mind is saturated with the conviction that you are a creator, not a beggar, the universe responds like a loyal servant. But it only obeys bold commands. If your commands are weak, scattered, or inconsistent, so are your results. And let me be clear, money will not chase the version of you who doubts, hesitates, or hides behind excuses. Money wants certainty. Money wants bold energy. Money gravitates toward those who declare their vision and back it up with behavior. I've watched men and women who had nothing, no formal education, no connections, no family wealth, rise to become powerful magnets of opportunity. Why? Because they believed they were meant to rise. Because they refused to accept the version of life that was handed to them and instead decided to become the architect. That's the real secret behind the secret. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. So the real work is inner wealth, mental certainty, emotional discipline, and behavioral congruence. You can't say, I'm wealthy, while acting broke. You can't declare freedom, then live like a prisoner of old patterns. What would it look like to walk through your day like someone money is drawn to? Would you speak more clearly? Would you stand taller? Would you stop entertaining petty problems and start obsessing over legacy? Would you surround yourself with growth, not gossip? Would you study the principles of power and execute with precision? Because I assure you, those are not the side effects of wealth. They are the cause of it. Keep feeding that identity, and money will have no choice but to chase the you that's emerging. Now let me speak to you as plainly as I can. You must act like someone who already has it. You must breathe like you deserve it. Move like it's inevitable, and think like it's done. Because in the invisible world of thought, it is done. Reality just needs time to catch up with your conviction. Do you understand? Every great fortune began as a quiet knowing in someone's mind, a whisper that said, This is mine. And the difference between the rich and the poor is not the economy. It's not the government. It's not even education. It's that the rich acted on that whisper until it roared like thunder through their every action. You see, most people negotiate with life. They beg. They wait for conditions to be right. But life does not reward hesitation. Life responds to intensity. The secret is not about chasing money. That path is lined with desperation. No, the secret is about becoming so deeply aligned with abundance that money is pulled toward you like iron to a magnet. And here's the part that most never grasp. Your thoughts, feelings, words, and actions must all agree. If you think rich but speak in poverty, if you visualize wealth but act in fear, you send mixed signals. The universe responds to coherence, it listens to certainty, and it rewards the man or woman who embodies success before there is any evidence of it. That is the test. Will you walk like a king while still in rags? Will you think like a queen while still cleaning the floor? Will you refuse to betray your vision even when the world calls you crazy? Because if you can do that, if you can remain faithful to your inner wealth before the outer proof, then money, opportunity, and allies will come chasing you. They will find you not because of what you have, but because of who you are. And once that shift happens, once you stop waiting and start becoming, your entire vibration changes. People feel it. Doors open. Synchronicities accelerate. And life becomes a reflection of the power you dared to claim within. Now I want you to imagine this with crystal clarity. You are no longer the one knocking. You are the door itself, and behind you, wealth lines up. Opportunity waits in queues. People talk about you in rooms you've never entered. Why? Because your energy entered first. This is no fantasy. It is the precise mechanism by which power operates. When your mind holds a definite purpose, infused with faith and backed by persistent action, you become a transmitter, a living signal of success. And that signal does not go unanswered. It reverberates, it attracts. It pulls your desires toward you because you have collapsed the illusion of separation. You are no longer looking for wealth. You are wealth in motion. And money, it recognizes its source. It comes home to the one who commands it, not with arrogance, but with alignment. This is why the timid never prosper. The fearful repel abundance. They treat money like a stranger, something outside of them, something they must beg for or steal. But the bold, they move differently. They walk into a room with invisible assets, vision, certainty, emotional control, and the world rearranges itself around them. Why do you think some rise from nothing and become legends? Why do others with every advantage crumble into mediocrity? It's not the hand you're dealt, it's how you play it. And more importantly, who you believe you are while you're playing. Let me tell you something I've never shared quite this way. Money is not the goal. Freedom is. But freedom starts within. Freedom is an attitude long before it's a lifestyle. The man who wakes up and declares, "Today I am the architect of my fate," has already begun to bend reality in his favor. Now ask yourself, when you walk, do you walk with destiny in your bones? When you speak, do your words ring with the certainty of one who already holds the crown? Or are you still waiting for the world to anoint you? I'm telling you now, you are already chosen. But until you act like it, life will continue to treat you as optional. So rise, set the tone, move like the embodiment of your highest vision. Because once you know this secret, that you are the source, the magnet, the cause, money will chase you like a shadow chases light. You cannot fool the world into wealth. You must become wealth itself. Not by what's in your pocket, but by what's in your posture, by what's in your presence when you enter a room. That unshakable calm, that quiet knowing, the confidence that doesn't scream, but whispers through every gesture, "I am already it." You see, riches do not rush to the man who chases them desperately. They come to the man who commands them naturally, through intention, through inner clarity, through sustained belief. And this is where the secret sharpens its edge. Belief must not be passive. It must burn in you like fire under pressure. You must see yourself surrounded by opulence while you sit in scarcity. You must feel the warmth of success even when the winds of doubt try to chill you to your bones. Because if your inner state can hold fast, if it refuses to break, reality has no choice but to bend. Understand this: money is not moved by emotion. It is moved by precision, by focus, by belief turned into action. When you stop begging for wealth and begin to build it with thought, habit, and discipline, you graduate from wishful thinking to intentional creation. You rise from the world of victims and enter the world of architects. Every dollar you attract after this transformation becomes a mirror, a reflection of who you chose to become. It stops being about chasing and starts being about magnetizing. Because money has a loyalty few understand. It flows to structure. It obeys confidence. It follows those who expect it, not those who doubt it. So I ask you once again, as directly as I can, who are you becoming? Are you constructing a mindset that demands greatness? Are you eliminating the thoughts that leak your power, the envy, the fear, the laziness? Or are you still waiting for conditions to be right before you rise? There is no perfect moment, only a perfect decision to become the kind of person wealth cannot ignore. And if you can make that decision, not once, but daily, moment by moment, you will discover the truth behind this secret. You do not chase money. You become the reason it moves. And once you become that reason, money, like all other forms of power, will start chasing you. Because you are no longer a seeker. You are the source. And the source never needs to run. It only needs to radiate. Do not misunderstand me. This is not about arrogance. This is not about puffing your chest or pretending to be rich. The universe is not fooled by theatrics. It is moved by conviction. And conviction is born from clarity. Clarity about who you are, what you want, and what you are willing to do to become worthy of receiving it. Most people spend their lives bargaining with money, hoping it will show up if they just work a little harder or hustle a little longer. But effort alone is not the secret. That is the greatest misunderstanding in the world of wealth. You are not paid for how hard you work. You are paid for how valuable you become. Let me say that again. You are paid in attention, in respect, in opportunity, in money, according to the value you radiate. Not once, but every day. And that value is not measured in titles or education. It is measured in presence, in mindset, in results. If your mind is undisciplined, if your emotions run wild, if your habits are dictated by comfort instead of purpose, the world will not reward you. It will forget you. But the moment you begin to shape yourself, to sharpen your identity like a blade, the world begins to respond. Slowly at first, then with momentum, then with unstoppable force. Because wealth doesn't just follow action, it follows alignment. Alignment between your thoughts, your speech, your actions, and your expectations. When those four begin to dance in rhythm, money moves to your music. And here's where the secret becomes unavoidable. The outer world must mirror the inner. It is a law, not a theory. If you see yourself as powerful, disciplined, and worthy of wealth, and you back that vision with unbreakable consistency, you will rise. If you see yourself as a struggler, an underdog, someone who always falls short, and you reinforce that identity every day through doubt, procrastination, and self-sabotage, you will stay where you are. So which identity are you rehearsing today? Are you feeding the future version of yourself who commands abundance, or the old self who only knows scarcity? You cannot serve both. One must die so the other may live. And when you let go of that weak, doubting version of yourself, when you bury him with intention, you make space for the powerful creator to rise. And that is the man or woman money cannot resist. Not because they need it, but because they no longer chase it. They stand still in their power, and the world comes to them. And so does wealth. So I say to you now, with all the fire of experience behind my words, walk into your days as if the world were already yours. not with arrogance, but with the quiet certainty of a man who knows the secret, that wealth is not something you chase, it is something you align with. And when you do, it comes without begging. It arrives because you became a match for it. Make no mistake, every choice you make today is either sculpting the future you desire or chiseling away at it. Will you rise early, speak clearly, move with purpose, and hold your mind to the highest standard? Or will you drift, like so many do, back into the shadows of hesitation? You already know the answer because you've heard the voice within you whisper it your entire life. Act now, act boldly. Act like money can't help but chase you because it no longer doubts who you are. You were never meant to crawl through this life. You were built to rise, to command, to attract. And now that you know the secret, the only thing left is to live it. So go. Go and show the world what happens when belief becomes identity, when thought becomes action, and when one man, fully awakened, becomes unstoppable. The time is now, and money's already on its way. The world makes way for those who dare to rise. Click the Rise button now to subscribe and claim the destiny waiting for you. Your time is now.